Hi, it's Kim, and I'm back with another episode of 10-Minute Tips. So get your coffee, your tea, sit back and relax with another episode of 10-Minute Tips. Blah, blah, blah. Hi, it's Kim, and I'm back for another week of 10-Minute Tips. No, that's not it either. Hi, it's Kim, and I'm back with another episode of 10-Minute Tips. Get your coffee, your tea, sit back and relax while we talk about marriage is work. It's Kim, and I'm back for another week of 10-Minute Tips for your relationships. Just 10 minutes. So this week, I want to talk about marriage equals work. Marriage is work. Oh my God. It's the most exhausting job I've ever had in my life, but it's been the best job ever. Marriage is work. It equals doing something every day, all day, just to make it work. So, I think about when my husband and I were first married. Actually, I think about when we first met. We were really young. We were like teenagers. And you know how it is when you're a teenager. Everything is fun, funny. But then it just brings me to how I love to see brand new couples. I love to see new love. I love to see people fresh in love. It brings me so much joy because I love that part of love because it is so innocent. That part of love is so effortless. Yes, it is so effortless to just be falling in love. There's no effort there at all. Your heart is beating, your heart is racing. You are enjoying that person's company all the time. You're just wanting to be with them every minute of the day. It's effortless and it's fresh. It's brand new. There's nothing stale about it. It's fun. You're always having fun. You're always doing something new. You're always going places. You're always treating each other and being kind and loving toward one another. And you know what? Brand new love is easy. It's so easy to fall in love. It's so easy to be with the one that you are, like what they say, catching those feelings for. Actually, what it is, it's considered to be euphoric. Euphoric. Like that's that intense happiness. It's an intense excitement. And just think about it. Think about having euphoria for a person that you have this intense happiness and this intense excitement for. 24/7. Yes, you're just excited to be in his or her presence and you're excited to see them all the time. So falling in love is fun. Falling in love is fun. But relationships are work. That first part of love, when you're first falling in love, and I like to demonstrate that in our classes when we do our marriage classes. I usually take a rug and I put a bunch of stuff underneath it. And I say, this is what falling in love looks like. Because all the things that should annoy us or make us angry, we have swept under the rug. And we have this big lump in the rug. And we're just meandering our way through life. And what do? We kind of trip over it. But at the same time, we're falling into a love relationship with this person. So those things, whether they be petty or important, they don't bother us. That euphoric part of marriage, or marriage, but relationships. So with that euphoria, the other person is the center of your life. Sometimes we put our family and our friends to the side, because that person is everything. You know how you with your girlfriends and they can say, oh, you must have somebody special because we don't ever hear from you. You don't hang out anymore. Yeah, because you're in that euphoria part where that person is the center of your life. You forgive everything. Nothing matters. Nothing is petty. Nothing is important. And that person is so cute and so wonderful, and they have no faults. There is nothing wrong with that person at all. But you know, during this stage of love, there is less activity going on in that prefrontal cortex of the brain. And that part of the brain has a lot to do with decision making, but it also has a lot to do with negative judgment. And so sometimes when we're in that euphoria of love, we tend to identify with less negative judgment about the person that we're in love with. Being in a relationship or being in a marriage is work, and it's work 24/7. So here's the thing. Once you cross that threshold of euphoria and you start getting into the real work of relationships and the real work of a marriage, that means you are coming out of that, what I call that unconscious state of being from everything. And now everything is intentional. Yes. Your love for that person now goes from euphoria to intentionality. Everything is intentional. You have to make intentional decisions. Now, everything is not cute. And there are some things that, may get on your nerves. Some things that may make you angry. Maybe back then, it didn't matter. You liked it, or maybe you didn't like it. But now you give thought to it. You're no longer in euphoria, but now you're working in what's called awareness. Yes, awareness in relationships means that you are making decisions based on your thinking, and it's no longer about your feelings. Yes, it's about making a decision based on what you know and what you see, and not just what you feel. So our mistake is that we work in awareness, and in awareness, sometimes we make some very unthoughtful decisions. Sometimes we make some inconsiderate decisions. We work in selfishness. So once we cross that threshold of euphoria, going into that place of awareness, sometimes we're just thinking about ourselves, just thinking about what we want, just thinking about how things should be good for us, thinking about how you've sacrificed and you've given up and how you did all these things prior to the relationship or early on in the relationship. So awareness can work for us. Sometimes awareness can work against us. Then also, once we cross that threshold of euphoria, sometimes we neglect needful change. Yes. Every relationship, if it lasts, it goes through an evolution. I think about 35 years ago, how my marriage today is nothing like it was when I was 20, 25, even 30, 35. I'm different. He's different. And together, we're different. So marriage, relationships, it goes through changes, goes through an evolution. We make personal changes and then we make individual changes. But together as a couple, we should always be willing to grow and to develop and to get better, and to cut each other some slack. We don't all grow at the same speed. So cut each other some slack with that growth too. And then one other thing too, with awareness, is sometimes we can have a lack of clear communication. Yes. Sometimes in that awareness, in that stage of awareness, we just forget about the other person and we forget about providing them with needful information. Yeah, it's important that we give that person all the information that they need, that we're constantly talking, that we're constantly communicating, that we're constantly sharing. This is part of the work. This is part of the duty. This is part of the charge of being in love, but also being in a relationship, being in a marriage. Hey, also with that communication, one of the things that we forget to do is we forget to listen for clarification. Right. So you say something to me and I just take it where I want to take it because I heard what I wanted to hear. And we make assumptions. So look, it's important that we work. And most of this work that we're going to do is going to have a lot to do with how we communicate with one another, how we talk to each other, how we clarify things with one another. It's important. So what does that work look like? Well, let me tell you what the work looks like. It looks like better communication. We got to talk. We got to clarify. We got to put things on the table. We can't just continue to sweep things under the rug like we did when we first started out because we were so in love and we were in euphoria. Then guess what? You're going to fight. It's inevitable. You are going to have arguments. But one thing you should do is always fight fair. Always fight fair. Make sure that you're not shutting down. Making sure that you're not hitting below the belt. Making sure that you're not using your partner's weaknesses against him or her. Making sure that you are fighting fair. And there's so many other things that go along with that. Part of the work is spending time together. You got to make time for that person. You know, we can't neglect the person that we stood before God in a company of witnesses and said that this was the person that we wanted to be with for the rest of our life. And think about all that time you spent together when you were in euphoria. So you got to spend time. Then you have to accept your differences. So back then, your differences were cute and they were nice and they were wonderful. But sometimes when we cross that threshold of euphoria into intentionality, our differences sometimes become war words. Sometimes our differences become battles. And so we don't want to use our differences against each other. Apologize when you need to. Yes, apologies are necessary in a relationship, any kind of relationship. We need to be able to tell our mate, tell our significant other that we are sorry when we know that we've done wrong. Then be respectful. Everybody deserves respect. I like this one. Give more than you take. Oh, that is so perfect. When we start outdoing each other in giving to one another, I'm telling you, it just amps the relationship up to a whole nother plateau. Next, give grace and forgive. Forgive. Forgive like Jesus forgives you. Forgive your mate often and when necessary. Look, marriage is not for cowards. It's not for lazy people. It's not for people who have no intentions on working. So my friends, like I said before, marriage is work. And marriage is not for the faint of heart. You got to have courage. You got to have courage to hang in there and to stick with it. These are my 10-minute tips. You take care and you stay safe.